Y'all know Piglet from Winnie the Pooh? Yeah. Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it would hold a rather large amount of gratitude. And that's what I'm feeling right now. In human terms, my heart may be small, you know, like the rest of me, 5'1". But there's a large amount of gratitude here. And number one is for all of you maintaining this ministry and keeping it so that Bob and I can come here and find it, is that was our number one criteria for looking for a place to settle in this area. We would not settle any place that there was not a vibrant unity ministry. And you guys, we are it. And I'm so grateful. Thank you. So let's turn within and give thanks that right where we are in the midst of the all that is. Charles Fillmore's invocation begins. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, wrote an invocation and it begins, I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. Feel that immersion, life, energy, balance, love, compassion, thoughtfulness, kindness, wisdom, right direction. And feel yourself just like that character on top of a cake that's anchored in that cake. Let yourself be anchored in this present moment. And as we know that for ourselves, we reach out and know it for each other, for all of our friends who are not with us this morning, all of our friends on the prayer list, and for our world family in general, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And this we affirm in the name and through the presence and power of God's amazing grace, in which we intentionally and humbly live and move and have our being. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Let's affirm our opening affirmation together. God, as divine Lord, is moving in and through our whole world today. Peace, love, and joy abound. to share our vision together. Oh, we're also powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening and our mission. In loving community, we nurture and inspire spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles and our values, welcoming, diverse, hurtful, transformational, abundant, joyful, empowering. And let's know our statement of being together. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Good morning.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Are you sick of turkey yet? No. Yeah. It's been a really nice week off from substitute teaching. I kind of missed the little kids that I've been working with, so I'll be back at that tomorrow. This song is a Thanksgiving song. It's called Come, Ye Thankful People Come. And I want you to rejoice.
Chairman for today. And don't you remember singing that song your whole life? And I'm thinking today how thankful I am because the day before Thanksgiving, we planted, I don't know, 8 flats of plugs in my yard because the hurricane did a little number on it. So the next day, guess what happened? Rain all day long. I'm like, oh boy. Didn't have to water. Anyway, we are so happy that you're here today, and we love Unity Spiritual Center, because this is where we come, not just on Sundays, but many other times during the week. And we meditate, we pray, we go to classes, and most of all, we appreciate all of you who come and give us hugs. Thank you. Okay. I think we are all going to now sing a joy song, so everybody jump up, and we're going to sing Words on the Platform. So we do appreciate the talents of our musical team. If this is your first time with us, we appreciate you wearing a name tag. Here's mine. And I've already talked to some of you. We have a lot of new people today. Raise your hand if you're new. This is your first time here. Yes. I hope you all got a packet that looks like this, because it tells you everything that's happening here and what we're about. If you didn't get one, as you go out those doors on your way to the potluck right after today, you can pick one up. So this is the part of the day when we feel really close to one another, and it's called getting vitamin H, and you see it right there, because we go out and greet everybody. Now, we're a hugging community, and those babies are not hugging, but they want to. They want to hug. But if you don't want to hug, just hold out your hand, and we'll be happy to shake it. Let's go. These people here. There's no stopping us. Okay, so there will be more of this right after the service, so just walk through if you're new. I think there'll probably be enough food. I brought a bunch of food today. So go right through into the, past the front door, into the next room, and you can share some food with us. Now we are going to have that famous Jim Hall give us a board update, and then the prayer chaplain will read the daily word and the spiritual power of the month.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay, the board update is for the period of September 13th through October 25th, 2017, and the board meeting was held on October 25th. All trustees were present, the following notes from the trustees, different subjects that we had. The youth education, Dee Babel reported to the board regarding her attendance and other congregants that went to the Unity Youth Education Conference, and they were focusing on developing a Unity youth program, a youth education program here in our church. And the board discussed the pros and cons and tabled that to a later date. Further discussions will be done and further investigations will be done in regards to the youth education program. In regards to the Dome update, the Dome commitment celebration, Dee Babel and a member of the Dome committee agreed to obtain bids for a meal to be provided to the congregation by USC for the completion of our commitment celebration. This meal will be provided to the congregation at no cost on January 28, 2018, after the Sunday service. So please plan to attend. And then for your information, the Grow in Unity commitment journey officially ends December 31st. However, we still need your contributions to meet 100% of our goal. We will continue to have 2 envelopes, one for the building fund and one for the general fund. If you have any questions about your commitment status, please contact Joni Spires in person or by email, and there's Joni, thank you. And her email is, I believe, joanspires@yahoo.com. So at present, you are to be commended for meeting 88% of our goal. And I think John Booth informed us that a couple of weeks ago. This is a goal that we set back in 2014. So congratulations, and we thank you so much. The next subject was the election to the nomination committee. Those elected to the committee occurred at our annual meeting back in February of this year. And they were Joan Bookart and as an alternate, Kay Gordon. John Booth is the board representative and the minister as part of the nomination committee. Jean said that she couldn't serve, so the board elected Steve Camp as chairman of the committee. And anyone interested in serving on the board, please contact one of the committee members, Steve Camp or any trustee. In addition, the nomination procedures can be found on our website and under the Care and Support tab. And then we had a Volunteer of the Year election. The board determined individuals to be honored at a later date for their volunteer services of our church for 2016 and 2017. So we look forward to that in the future. You can see that on the email, or we'll be announcing that sometime, I think, in January. And then we have a security program that we instilled on the board due to the recent news about churches. And the board learned that under federal law, under Florida law as well as federal law, anyone holding a concealed weapon license is able to carry a concealed weapon on his or her person. USC has no position on this issue since it is Florida law. Reverend Marge will discuss this issue with any congregant who informs her that he or she has such a license. So if you have a license to carry a weapon, I guess talked to Reverend Marge about that. We did instill a 15-minute, 10-15, lock the doors. So if you come in late sometime, just come to the windows over here and knock on the window. Somebody will let you. The attendance report, during the period of September 17th through October 22nd, the average church attendance was 111 congregants. The minister's report to the board thanked all the board members for their participation and support with various USC activities since the last board report. Special thanks also went together with all the Hurricane Irma cleanup, and she commended Denny Ralston and the chaplains on the Beautiful World Day of Prayer service. She reported that the 4 teams on Conscious Intentions all received feedback from the consultant, Reverend Teresa Lee, and are making adjustments. Reverend Marge has begun exploring Earth Care Certification Level C, which is our final Earth Care certification level. Barbara McGinnis is doing a fabulous job on our website and Facebook page, and we have about a 40% open rate on our e-news, which is actually considered a good open rate. Our marketing team continues to disseminate healing booklets from Unity into the community. USC continues to have new people attending our services, and Reverend Marge continues to call all attendees and fill out a welcome card, and is receiving more compliments on our service. The Abundance Financial Report, John Booth, Treasurer, reported to the board the income expense and the donor statements for September, which statements can be reviewed by you since they are posted monthly on the bulletin board just outside of the ladies' restroom. There was a special board meeting on October 1. Basically, it was after the service on October 1, and to discuss the impact of Hurricane Irma and to approve a contract that related expenses required to the debris removal and cutting down unsafe trees. The cost for cutting down 52 trees and debris removed to the curb was $11,094. The board approved the contract and the cleanup was done within a week, which was fantastic after the storm. Social media policy, Mary Lou Mason made a motion to insert a social media policy be placed on the USC website under care and support. The motion was seconded by John Booth and approved by the board. The November calendar, the USC November calendar was reviewed by the board, and adjustments would be done prior to making any final copies. That's it. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Would all of the prayer chaplains in service today please rise now? If you would like a prayer with the prayer chaplains, all of us chaplains will be in the sanctuary after the service. If you prefer more privacy, we have 2 prayer rooms on either side of the sanctuary here. We are honored to be of service. Thank you, chaplains. The Daily Word is published by Unity Worldwide Ministries, and it is available in our bookstore, which is off of the community room, if you would like to have one of these daily words. And the word for today is comfort, and it is based on the scripture, Isaiah 49:13. Sing for joy, O heavens, and exult, O earth, for the Lord has comforted his people and will have compassion on his suffering ones. Comfort. I move through life in comfort and peace. Jesus assures his followers in the Sermon on the Mount, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. I greatly accept the comfort for myself today. Whatever I may mourn, people, habits, beliefs, I am comforted knowing that my sense of grief is simply a reaction to change. And change is an essential part of our spiritual journey. Moving through change can be challenging and even painful, but comfort is always available if I stay centered on myself as the Christ expression I am. Jesus did not pity those who mourn. Rather, he declared that they are blessed. And as I acknowledge and move through any sense of loss, I find courage for everyday living. Please join me in saying the affirmation. I move through life in comfort and peace. The spiritual power for November is illumination, and the corresponding color is russet, as is on this tapestry here. The center of illumination is located in the abdominal region. Illumination is the ability to release, remove, denounce, deny, and let go. It is represented by Bathsheba and the disciple Judas Thaddeus, the son of James. Please join me in saying the affirmation. I am the cross in order to open my mind to new possibilities. And will now bless the prayer books. Great universal consciousness, our Creator, like a stream of crystal clear water flowing down a heavenly channel, let your power of healing, guidance, comfort, and joy pass down onto the people named in this prayer box and the people who put the requests in the prayer box. Let them all receive what they need to the greater good, and let it be so, and so it is. Amen.
Good morning. My name is Joan Spires, and I really had no intention of being up here. But as I was coming to church, I thought, well, if no one else is going to speak today, then I'm going to do this. So I do have some feelings that I just want to share. I woke up yesterday morning and I was thinking, we have to be positive. I thought about how Mother Teresa said she was asked to go to an anti-war rally, and she said, no, I would not do that. I will go to a pro-peace rally. And so I think of that, no matter where we are, what our situations are, even in our church, we have to stay positive. And we have to use the unity principles to solve whatever situation we're in. And to me, that is, what are our true wants? We don't need the solution. We have an unknown power, the X, that I choose to call God, that comes up with the solutions. We just have to be clear in what it is that we want. And today, that reading from Mr. Fillmore, I forget his first name, he had all these attributes. Isn't that what we want for our church? When we pray, can we get past what we think are the solutions and say what it is that we want? We want the peace, love, joy, harmony, understanding, acceptance. There's hundreds of positive attributes that we can say, this is what we want for our church. And then if we put that out there, the universe is going to act on that. I have no idea what the solution will be, but all we have to do is be specific in our wants and not pray what we think is the solution, but to state what we want. And there's so many beautiful ways of being that we share in this community. Everything is not the minister's part. We all of us have a part in this. And isn't that wonderful? Because we're all family. And that's, I would pray that we be family, that we be loving, that we be attentive, that we be respectful. And we can go anywhere and do anything if we know that God is going to come up with the solutions for us. And I just want to share that because I feel so strongly that that's how it works. If we are negative and we are in turmoil, that's what we produce. If we are loving and we are positive and we know what we want, that is what we produce. And so I just wanted to share all that with you because that is how I want to be in my life. I'm not always that way, but I surely want to be on a positive note and to watch my words because I know what I say is what manifests in my life, and I have to say it in the proper way. And I thank you for your attention.
This next song that the choir is going to perform is an Indian-sounding song by an artist named Ricky Beckwith. And the chorus is very easy. It's oh yeah, hey ya, oh yeah, hey ya, oh yeah, hey ya, hallelujah. So if you feel like joining in, don't hold back. It's appropriate for the Thanksgiving weekend because, of course, the original Thanksgiving was, as the story goes, the Pilgrims and the Indians sat down and had this big groovy feast. So, that was a nice thing, and I hope that you enjoy the song. The choir's worked really hard on it, and I know that you're going to enjoy it. Thank you. What oh yeah, hey ya means is praise the Spirit. Praise the Spirit.
I am
Zen master came to New York City, went up to Morris, the hot dog vendor, and he said, "Make me one with everything." So Morris gets a hot dog bun, puts a hot dog on it, loads it up with everything. The Zen master hands him a $20 bill. Morris puts it in the cash box, hands the guy the hot dog, and the Zen master says, "Where's my change?" And Morris says, "Change must come from within." Oh, wait till you hear the second one that I wanted to bring. I'll save that for another time. So I wanted to ask you, is there anybody here who has not come from any place else in your life to get to where you are today? So nobody here fresh out of the womb? No. Obviously I'm not either. So we all have a past, obviously. However, perhaps the bottom line question is, does your past have you? I've had occasion to use the title of my lesson, That Was Then, This Is Now, many instances with individuals who have been attached to the past through guilt, shame, and, that biggie regret. Oh, if only I hadn't sent that email. That one, famous last words that used to be mine, that I learned to pray before I pushed the send button. Well, the truth is that the only way that we can get from then until now is by accepting change. There's a line in A Course in Miracles. How many Course in Miracles people do we have here? I've been a Course in Miracles student since the early 80s, and it's very dear to my heart. There's a line that says, and if you know it, finish it with me. Above all else, I want to see things differently. Do you agree with that? I don't. Those of you who know me know that I'm a word nerd. Right, Steve? Where are you, Steve? I'm a word nerd. Yeah. I love words, and I love to keep them right in the context of what I want to create in my life. And so, and my kids know that too, because we love bananagrams. Have you ever played bananagrams? If you're a Scrabble lover, talk to me after service. Anyway, if I were to change one word in that statement, let me say it again, above all else, I want to see things differently. Now, Bob and Davina know me for a long time. In fact, I met them when they sang in the choir at Unity of Lehigh Valley, and I would go down there as the guest minister and do services when they were without a minister. You guys know me. If I were to change one word, what word do you think it would be? Anybody? That's not it. No. What's the word I would change that I would shift in that statement? Let me say it for you as I would say it. Above all else, I am willing. You were going to say that? Yeah. I am willing to say things differently. Because how many times have we said, I want to, what's the next word? But, yep, I want to, but. There's always something or somebody that's going to be standing in my way. There's going to be that obstacle there that's not going to let me go through with it. Will it not? That was my life before. Oh, I want to, but, I'm newly married, or I have the children now, or my biggest was, well, I've never been to college. That was the biggest obstacle I used to hold over myself for many, many years. Never went to college, not even for 30 seconds. However, I'm here. That was then, this is now. And I wasn't giving myself credit for all the study that I did on my own. Anybody else out there like that? Yeah, okay. So, above all else, I am willing to do things differently, because unless the willingness is there, it's going to be just like that movie Groundhog Day. Day after day, making the same choices and getting the same results, which is the definition of insanity. Oh, you know that, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. Why does that happen? There's one word that if you don't take anything else away from this lesson today, please leave with this one word. It's called feedback. You know that word, feedback? All of life is feedback, starting with our bodies. The most major area of feedback that we have when we get out of harmony with life, it starts in the body to give us feedback, and then it goes into our prosperity and our relationships, all of that good stuff out there. There was an article in the Kyoto Journal many years ago. I know because I've been sharing this story for a lot of years, traveling around to ministries, about this firm that was called in to lay new rails for the rail line, the trains. And they noticed that the dimension of the rails was very odd. So the why question came up. And an engineer began to research it, and they found that the dimension was exactly the same size as the ancient Roman wagon wheels. Hello? Well, it doesn't take much of a stretch of an imagination to realize that that could be a really good metaphor for our own lives too, for our families, the life of our family, the life of our country, the life of our ministry. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. The measurements that we use in our lives are often so odd because perception is everything. Do we construct the present from the same dimensions as the past? I have something that I like to use as a show and tell. It's my only show and tell today. So I know that the video people want me to stay around here. So I don't know if you can see this, or if you can't, don't say what it is. When you see it and you recognize it, raise your hand. Okay. Can you see it over there? Can you see it? Okay, what does it say? Jesus. Okay. I only brought it because it's the only thing that I have that's like this. I didn't specifically bring it because it says the name of my good Jewish friend, Jesus. The reason I brought it is because perception is often about looking at what's not there in order to see what is there, is it not? Yes, and that's what we need to do here. Because if you just looked at what was there, would you be able to make out what was not there? No. Okay, I'll leave it up here if anybody would like to take a closer look at that. That was made for me by a member of my congregation, gee, it got to be 30 years ago, and he has long since returned to spirit, so I really value that. Two major aspects come into play when we're moving through change. One is our concept of self, and one is our perception of others and the situation around us. You know, the human intellect functions best with the more evidence it has to support its conclusions. We've been trained as a society that first comes the evidence, and then we build a conclusion about it. Isn't that true? In the coaching work that I do, the opposite is true. And listen, please. Every one of us has conclusions. Our monkey mind, that's a Buddhist term. Those of you who were in the seminars I did last year, you heard me talk about the monkey mind. It's a Buddhist term coined by two Buddhist monks who were watching monkeys go back and forth between branches on a tree. And the one monk said to the other one, that reminds me of this aspect of the mind that we have that goes back and forth between doubt and worry and back to doubt and back to worry. Are you with me? Yeah. Sure. Okay. When we have a conclusion about something, we send our monkey mind out unconsciously because that's its job. It knows its job very well. And it wants to please and to be right. So it automatically goes out and finds all the evidence that it can bring back in to support the conclusion. And when we know that the reverse works like that, the conclusion comes first, and then the evidence gathering starts, then we can more readily look at it and say, like that commercial on TV, what's in your wallet? What's in my conclusion box? That's what I often say to my clients, that when they come to a session, they say, oh, and this happened, that happened. Oh, let's take a look at what's in your conclusion box. Because there's a tool that I use that's 4 boxes. The first box is the conclusion, second box is the evidence, and if you want to know the third and fourth box, come to the session we're going to have, the discussion after service next Sunday, because you'll get a freebie, okay? I'll tell you all about the 4 boxes. And it was really a game changer for me. And I'd like to share it with all of you because it makes so much sense. This magnet is a little heavy, so excuse me if you see me just adjusting this. All right. It is impossible to have change and status quo at the same time. I just thought I'd say that in case you hadn't noticed. Okay, we just can't have both at the same time. If we're not willing to allow change to unfold in our lives, then our life becomes uncomfortable. And it starts with frustration. And that's something else that I'm going to be sharing with you next Sunday, because it's called incoherence. You know, it just feels like things aren't coming together. And if we don't address it when it's frustration, then it morphs into resignation. Well, who cares? You know, just don't give a darn. And if we don't look at it then when it's resignation, then it really morphs into cynicism. You know, the cynicism thing, and then we had a lot of around. There is something that I've noticed, that there are some individuals who wait until the things are falling apart stage in life to finally look at the way they've been showing up. Because it's not about who everybody else is showing up. It's not about them. It's really about how I choose to show up. There is, the first slide please, there is a quote, one of my favorites, Anais Nin, and you may know this, and the day came when the risk to remain tied in the bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. And that's how my life got, when I wasn't willing to acknowledge myself and the gifts and talents that I had to share, because I was saying that, oh, I couldn't because, and I wanted to, but. You know that one? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Well, how many changes come about in our life because of divine discontent? I love that phrase, divine discontent, because it's that nudge from spirit that says, okay, Anne-Marie, a little wake-up call here. Come on, get going. And then the snooze button goes again. And then there's a little more wake-up call. Come on, let's go. And then the snooze button goes off again. And then, come on, this is your time. This is your moment. Get forward, go forward, and do the things that you said you were willing to do. And I make some strides in my life, and then no, this is just too hard. That was my excuse. This is too hard. And then the final wake-up call. You know what that is? Bend over. And you get that nudge from spirit in another part of your body, because I wasn't listening with here, wasn't listening with my mind, and so then the bend over comes up. If we're not moving with syntropy, energy regenerating, that's a Charles Fillmore loved that word, regenerating. If we're not moving with syntropy, then we may feel like we're stuck in entropy. You know entropy? It's like having a slow leak in your air mattress, and you find yourself waking up on the floor with the two sides of the air mattress coming in to attack you. You know what that's like if you ever had a slow leak in your air mattress. And if you don't find where the leak is and put a patch to solidify that again, what do you have? Atrophy. So it goes from syntropy to entropy to atrophy. And that's when we feel like we just don't want to get out of bed in the morning because it's just too hard. You just don't want to have any more drama in life. That was me. I used to feel like I drew so much drama. No more. That's why I said to my grandson, no, don't bring that girl around here anymore. Too much drama. Moving with syntropy is keeping the field of energy alive by welcoming change. Next slide, please. Thank you. Vibrating at the highest frequency possible. When I don't want to get out of bed in the morning, I'm vibrating at the highest frequency that I can possibly vibrate at that time. However, see, that's my other word for but. But is not a word I use in my vocabulary. And that's scriptural too, and I'll tell you about that another time when I have an opportunity to share a lesson. It really is, it's scriptural. We're told not to use but. You want to know about it, don't you? You want to know now. I can hear it. Okay. How much time do I have? Another 2 hours? 25 words or less. Abraham goes up the mountain with Isaac, and they're going to build the fire. And Abraham knows that he's going to sacrifice Isaac. Isaac doesn't know that. Do you know what Isaac means? What does the name Isaac mean? It means joy and laughter. Have you ever sacrificed your joy and laughter instead of the buts in your life? Yeah, sure, been there, done that. However, that was then, and this is now. And so they're building the pier. That's not what it's called. What's it called? Pyre. I was close. They're building the pyre, and Isaac is asking, where's the sacrifice? And Abraham keeps saying, God will provide, God will provide. And so then Abraham takes Isaac and lays him on the pyre. Can you imagine the, not angst, the terror in Isaac's eyes when your own father puts you on the pyre? Then what happens? The angel comes. What does an angel symbolize? I'm a Bible nerd. Angel, divine idea. A divine idea from the mind of God. Look it up in the Revealing Word if you don't believe me. Okay, I know you believe me. Angel comes and redirects Abraham, who represents faith. Okay, he's going to sacrifice his joy and laughter. Redirects his focus to an animal in the thicket. What was that animal? The ram. The ram. What's the significance of the ram? When you look at a ram, what's the first thing you see about a ram? Yes, and what does the ram do with the horns? What does he use them for? To butt. Absolutely. So I made this up, but doesn't it sound good? No, wait. The Bible is according to you. What's the message that you are getting from that story? It's not about anybody else. It's about the message that you're getting. What's your perception of the story? That's what it is. Okay, and so that's what we do. We sacrifice our butts. We let them go so that we still love and respect and use and enjoy our joy and laughter. Okay, I did it. So that was no more than 25 words. Oh, thanks. And so, how do we get to vibrate at that highest frequency possible? I love the definition of prayer, a very simple term by Emerson. Anybody know that definition? Contemplating the facts of life from the highest point of view. Let me say that one more time. Contemplating the facts of life. All of third dimension is a fact. It's happening. Facts of life from the highest point of view. Now, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore in Unity, said something very similar to it, just a little different words. He says, and you'll find this in the Revealing Word, that prayer is the highest mind vibration known to man. I memorized that in the early 80s when I was out at Unity School because it really resonated with me. And know that Charles Fillmore was a contemporary of Emerson in the late 1800s. The highest mind energy known to man, mind energy, beta, then you have alpha, where the lines are coming closer and closer together. Then you go to theta, and you go to delta. Delta. That's in the third dimension. When we go into prayer, and to me, prayer is the first element in what we're being invited to do. Because from prayer, we move into meditation. And from meditation, the third aspect is practicing the presence of God. I did a whole lesson on that, on that at Unity School. We had to get up and talk about something, and what I picked was prayer and meditation. Just at random from a basket, you pick topics, and I just happened to pick prayer and meditation. And I took it to the third step, and I was so glad that the teacher of the class gave me a pretty good grade. That's what it's called. Right, teacher? It's called a grade on that. Okay, so what happens when we move from beta, we go into prayer and meditation, is the mind slows down. So as those waves are slowing down, you get to the point where you can't even make a pinpoint, a pencil point on that side of the paper because it's moved to the other side of the paper, which is another dimension. Follow me here, please. And then it starts to increase on the back of the paper. Are you with me? Because in that next dimension, the energies are getting higher and vibrating at a higher energy level. Are you with me? Did you get that? Okay, I made that one up too. So, just these things that have come to me that I like to share. But can you see how as we lower the energy in our mind, then we begin to raise the energy in our heart and in our very being. And that's how we get to that vibration, the highest vibration possible. In the Synoptic Gospels, now Synoptic are Matthew, Mark, and Luke. John is not included because he's the metaphysical writer. So for those of you who are the inquiring minds and you want to know, it's Matthew 9:17, Mark 2:22, and Luke 5:37. Jesus, my good Jewish friend, you know who I mean? He says, you can't put new wine into old wineskins. I'm sure you've heard that before. Okay, why is that true? Because the new wine works. It begins to move as it ferments. And as it works, it gives off a gas. And it begins to expand the skin that it's in. You know how it is when you've eaten cooked cabbage and broccoli and, you know, it starts to expand and it's working in there? Yeah, well, that's how it works. The wine works like that too. And if you have an old wineskin, there's no place for it to expand. And so it bursts. And you lose all of that new wine. It's really a metaphor for shifting from one consciousness to another, that the old consciousness represents the old wineskin, because there's no place for new ideas to come in when we have conclusions about things. It's really important to allow the consciousness to expand, which is the definition of heaven. Comes from the Greek word oranos, and the definition from the Greek is a realm of expanded awareness. Otherwise, if you're not in heaven, then where might you be putting yourself, your energies, if you're not willing to expand your awareness? All right, we don't need to go any further there. You got the idea. And when we are willing to allow that the new ideas to come in, just like Abraham did, if he didn't listen to the angels or divine idea and shift his focus, you know, he could very well have destroyed his joy and laughter. And I'm not willing to do that in my life anymore. It's really a been there, done that for me. And as we're willing to do this, then the old BS will fall away. And the belief system, you knew I was going to say that, didn't you? See, when we introduce these new ideas of wellness and prosperity and harmony, then the old ideas of scarcity thinking and control issues and jealousies and dramas, they just fall away from my life. It's just like if you had flypaper sticking to you, and the flypaper could only stick when, just like the magnet, you think the idea of the magnet, when the two poles can, you know, clap together like that. If you reverse the poles, the magnets would fall apart. As we shift the energy that we're holding inside of us, then those old dramas, they just fall off us. They don't stay to us like they used to do before. So, because those are all deterrents to living in the now. So how do we move into the now? That's the final question that I have here. Making the decision to free ourselves from the judgments about the past and from the need to carry those judgments. That's the big one. It's not just about releasing the old evidence. It's about releasing the need to carry the old evidence. Whenever I would lead a burning bowl service for New Year's Eve, I would always stress that with the individuals who came. It's about letting go of what you don't want to carry into the new year and the need to carry it. Because if the need is still there, guess what? The monkey mind is still going to be very active in looking for that evidence, won't it? Sure. And we will know when that forgiveness, when we've let go, we'll know when that happens, because the need to carry the evidence and look for it will no longer be there. Next slide, please. Love keeps no record of wrongdoing. It's big, isn't it? Mm-hmm. However, and this is a big however, it doesn't say that love shoves it under the carpet, does it? No. If I have an individual who each time is in my presence, I'm feeling less than, or what's the word I'm looking for? Or the communication seems to be unloving between us. See, I don't believe in, and it's not part of my vocabulary, good and bad, or right and wrong. What's the opposite of right? is my right hand. Is this my wrong hand? Okay? So it's not about duality, which is what good and bad and right and wrong is. It's not about duality. It's about polarity. And you need polarity. When I was in active ministry, I used to love when I had one was enough, on my board, what's that called? A person who saw the other side of things, because I've been called a Pollyanna, you know. It'll come to me. That's what my mother used to say at the age of 95. Just give me a minute, it'll come back. Okay, I don't want to think about that any longer. Just let it come back. Because, the next slide please, forgiveness doesn't excuse their behavior. Forgiveness prevents their behavior from destroying your heart. Is that big or is that big? Yeah. I like that too. So the purpose of the past is learning, and learning is changed behavior. That's how I know that I've learned it, because I'm showing up differently in my life. So have you taken what you've learned from them and used it to enrich your life in the now? There's one statement that I heard years ago that was like a life-changing experience for me, and I love to share it wherever I go. And it's this: how can I fault myself for something that I did while I was learning? Just think. How much of our life is spent faulting ourselves for something we did or didn't do while we were learning? Breathe. Breathe. And if I'm willing to know that for myself, am I willing to know it for you? How can I fault you for something that you did while you were learning? Are there some people that we hold to a higher standard? Sure. We think, well, he's 72, he should know better. Yeah. Yeah, there are. However, is there anybody in this room who's not willing to continue to learn? No-brainer, right? Yeah. And so I'm not willing to fault you for something that you did while you were learning, because I know that you are another me. We're the same. Next slide, please. I didn't change, I just woke up. Is it simple? It can be, sure. So it takes an open heart, it takes compassion to shift the investment from judgment to acceptance. Next slide, please. Once you've truly known grace, your tit-for-tat universe is forever undone. It just holds no energy for you anymore. And this last slide, no, it's not, it's almost the last slide. I realize I'm going over. I ad-libbed a little, so excuse me. So anytime we're tempted, your past is just, this is the one, Eckhart Tolle. I love Eckhart. If you can read it with me. Because this way we're hearing it as we're saying it, and we're hearing it with the mind. Most humans are never fully present in the now, because unconsciously they believe that the next moment must be more important than this one. But then you miss your whole life, which is better not now. And that's a revelation for some people, to realize that your life is only ever now. So how much of your past are you going to lose sleep over now? What's more important? What am I willing to make more important in my life? I get a good night's sleep every night because I'm not willing to carry the day into my sleep with me. Next to the last slide, please. Oh, passage just a story, and once you realize this, it has no power of you. I forgot I put that one in there, thanks. And the next one, healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives. And my favorite, I saved for last. Oh, no, okay, it's almost last. Excuse me. Absolute favorite. Okay. As we prepare to go into meditation, I trust that you took something a little bit more away from you today than just the word feedback, which is important. And so there is a chant that I would like to share with you. And Karen made this beautiful slide for me. I'm so grateful. She gave it to me so I could use it anyplace else. And it goes like this. I release the past and let the healing power of love into my life. Sing it with me, we'll do it twice. I release the past and let the healing power of love into my life. Once again. I release the past and let the healing power of love into my life. Let's take those words inside with us. As we set an intention, using that word willing, I am willing to fill in the blank. I am willing to in letting go of the past. It's more about what you're willing to move into. To create that shift in your life. I am willing to hold the highest vision of myself and you. I am willing to contemplate the facts of life from the highest point of view. Step back and be the sacred witness to all of life. To hold the vision that through change, things are coming together. One piece at a time. I don't need to see the whole road. I simply take the next step. I breathe that willingness through myself. And with each exhalation, I let it prepare a space for the next breath. The breath of spirit. the breath of harmony and balance. I remember that balance is to be